Blood soaked my hospital blanket, while nurses searched for oncologists. I heard my son Mason arguing downstairs about authorization paperwork. My stomach burned after another failed chemotherapy session destroyed everything. Doctors scheduled surgery inside Seattle Memorial Hospital before cancer spread. My wife Lauren disappeared months earlier, after draining our accounts. Mason promised support constantly, during terrifying appointments beside hospital elevators. That afternoon, nurses discovered forged signatures hiding inside financial documents. My business attorney called frantically, after company ownership transferred overnight. I could barely breathe properly, while morphine blurred every conversation. Mason avoided my frightened eyes whenever doctors mentioned surgical complications. Comment your city before this story gets even darker tonight. Subscribe now because devastating truths completely destroy families' near endings. Rain hammered windows, while surgeons prepared equipment beside my stretcher. My younger daughter Chloe answered, refusing explanations about Mason's behavior. She sounded terrified afterward, before abruptly ending our midnight conversation. Hospital security questioned Mason downstairs, regarding unauthorized access through offices. He blamed accounting confusion immediately, while smiling beside frightened receptionists. I recognized Lauren's manipulation instantly, because Mason copied Lauren completely. Before anesthesia arrived upstairs, my attorney revealed missing property records. Then Mason kissed my forehead while stealing everything behind nurses. I woke inside intensive care, hearing machines echo throughout dark hallways. Sharp pain ripped violently through my chest after complicated cancer surgery. Nobody from my family waited nearby, beside uncomfortable plastic waiting chairs. A nurse quietly handed documents explaining sudden insurance payment cancellations yesterday. My hospital room television displayed breaking headlines about Mason's business promotion. He announced himself publicly online, beside photographs inside my corporate headquarters. Every employee believed I transferred leadership voluntarily before dangerous medical treatment. My longtime accountant Trevor ignored repeated calls, despite knowing devastating truths. Doctors warned additional complications appeared suddenly, because infection spread aggressively afterward. I begged nurses repeatedly, requesting Chloe immediately before another terrifying collapse. Chloe finally arrived crying, carrying groceries instead of expensive legal paperwork. She revealed Mason changed security codes throughout our downtown Seattle offices. Lauren returned unexpectedly afterward, wearing expensive jewelry beside unfamiliar younger attorneys. She acted concerned publicly, while privately threatening humiliating financial investigations afterward. I watched silently afterward, because weakness prevented meaningful confrontations during recovery. Lauren accused me cruelly, regarding years spent prioritizing business above family. She blamed my sickness completely, while demanding signatures transferring remaining assets. Chloe screamed furiously afterward, before security guards removed her downstairs immediately. Mason entered calmly later, carrying flowers beside fabricated sympathy messages afterward. Then he whispered terrifying threats softly, before disconnecting my emergency medications intentionally. Cold sweat covered my body, after nurses restored disconnected medication tubes. Doctors demanded explanations immediately, while Mason disappeared before morning visiting hours. Hospital cameras malfunctioned mysteriously afterward, preventing evidence regarding dangerous equipment tampering. I realized somebody powerful protected Mason, despite obvious criminal hospital behavior. Chloe stayed overnight afterward, sleeping uncomfortably beside outdated cafeteria vending machines. She secretly recorded Lauren downstairs, discussing inheritance plans beside expensive attorneys. Their conversation revealed horrifying debts hidden beneath Mason's glamorous public lifestyle. My company faced federal investigations already because Mason forged massive contracts illegally. Trevor finally visited secretly, carrying confidential files underneath stained winter jackets. He admitted Lauren manipulated accounting records throughout previous difficult financial quarters. Mason emptied retirement accounts completely before transferring properties through shell corporations. I felt completely destroyed afterward because betrayal came from my only son. Trevor warned federal agents planned arrest soon after discovering fraudulent construction permits. Meanwhile, Lauren prepared divorce documents aggressively, despite my ongoing cancer treatments upstairs. She promised media interviews afterward, portraying herself publicly as abandoned devoted wife. Chloe cried quietly afterward, while reading hateful online comments about our family. Some strangers celebrated publicly, believing greed finally destroyed another wealthy businessman permanently. Nobody understood completely because Mason controlled every narrative through fabricated emotional interviews. Late overnight, Trevor revealed another devastating secret regarding Lauren's mysterious disappearance previously. Then hospital police entered suddenly, carrying warrants connected directly against my name. Hospital officers surrounded my bed, while reporters crowded downstairs beside ambulances. Detectives questioned me aggressively regarding fraudulent loans connected with overseas contractors recently. I could barely remain conscious, while infection spread underneath surgical bandages painfully. Trevor defended me carefully before agents threatened criminal obstruction charges against everyone. Mason appeared downstairs afterward, pretending emotional concern beside local television cameras again. He described me publicly as confused, unstable, and mentally declining after surgery. Lauren supported his lies completely while holding Mason's hand before journalists outside. Watching their interviews shattered something permanently inside my exhausted, weakened body afterward. Chloe begged investigators privately, explaining forged signatures and manipulated financial transfers carefully. Nobody listened seriously because Mason already controlled influential attorneys throughout Seattle courts. Doctors warned additional tumors appeared unexpectedly, requiring another dangerous emergency procedure soon. I signed treatment consent forms alone, while hearing reporters insult my reputation. That night, Trevor uncovered hidden recordings from Lauren's abandoned downtown apartment afterward. The recordings captured Mason threatening employees, demanding silence regarding stolen company assets secretly. Trevor planned delivering evidence immediately before mysterious attackers followed him through parking garages. Meanwhile, Chloe disappeared suddenly after leaving briefly for hospital cafeteria coffee downstairs. Her phone stopped responding completely while nurses searched every crowded hospital floor desperately. I screamed helplessly afterward, ripping intravenous needles from swollen, bruised arms violently. Security footage finally appeared briefly, showing Lauren forcing Chloe inside black vehicles. Then Mason entered smiling calmly while carrying Chloe's shattered necklace inside pockets. My heartbeat monitor screamed widely after Mason dropped Chloe's necklace beside medications. He claimed Chloe abandoned everyone voluntarily because stress destroyed her emotional stability completely. I knew Mason lied instantly because Chloe never removed our mother's necklace. Doctors restrained me afterward, while surgical wounds reopened beneath blood-stained hospital blankets painfully. Mason pretended concern publicly again, while privately threatening Chloe's safety beside elevators downstairs. He demanded remaining property deeds immediately before federal agents seized company headquarters permanently. I refused quietly afterward, despite unbearable pain tearing through recovering cancer scars constantly. Lauren visited later alone, wearing sunglasses despite dark storm clouds outside hospitals. She admitted kidnapping Chloe temporarily, claiming protection from dangerous financial investigations approaching rapidly. Then Lauren revealed another devastating secret regarding my deceased younger brother Ethan. Years earlier, Ethan discovered missing construction funds connected with Mason's gambling addiction secretly. Before exposing everything publicly, Ethan died suddenly during suspicious highway accidents afterward. Lauren confessed helping Mason destroy evidence afterward because prison terrified them both. Hearing Ethan's truth shattered remaining trust inside my already collapsing emotional state completely. Meanwhile, Trevor vanished unexpectedly after sending cryptic messages regarding emergency offshore accounts overnight. Federal prosecutors froze company assets afterward, while employees protested outside corporate headquarters angrily. Online articles described me brutally, portraying greedy corruption behind my cancer diagnosis publicly. Nobody believed my innocence anymore, because Mason controlled interviews and manipulated narratives perfectly. Late overnight, Chloe finally called crying. Himself. But Trevor arranged secret meetings afterward, involving prosecutors ignored by Mason's powerful attorneys. Before sunrise arrived quietly, hospital staff discovered Lauren unconscious inside underground parking structures. Then detectives found blood beside her car, but Lauren disappeared without explanations afterward. Police sealed hospital entrances immediately after Lauren vanished beside underground parking structures overnight. Reporters flooded Seattle Memorial aggressively, while helicopters circled above emergency department rooftops continuously. Detectives questioned me repeatedly because Lauren disappeared shortly after visiting my hospital room. Mason accused me publicly afterward, claiming revenge-motivated violent behavior during emotional breakdowns recently. Television commentators discussed possible murder theories, while my reputation collapsed nationwide overnight completely. Meanwhile, Trevor hid secretly inside abandoned Tacoma apartments, protecting evidence against Mason carefully. He arranged confidential meetings afterward, involving federal prosecutors investigating healthcare laundering operations nationwide. Chloe finally escaped captivity alone, after jumping from moving vehicles near Portland highways. She arrived traumatized afterward, carrying bruises underneath oversized borrowed hooded sweatshirts silently. Through uncontrollable tears, Chloe described Mason threatening burial sites beside remote construction properties. Lauren apparently panicked afterward because Mason planned abandoning her before criminal investigations exploded. Chloe overheard terrifying arguments recently, involving Ethan's murder and hidden offshore accounts overseas. Doctors discharged me reluctantly afterward, despite ongoing infections and unstable cancer complications remaining. I returned home finally, discovering empty rooms stripped completely of furniture and photographs. Mason sold everything quietly, including belonging. Connected with my dead parents and childhood. Inside abandoned closets, Chloe discovered Lauren's hidden burner phones beneath damaged showboxes afterward. Those phones contained recordings exposing Mason's affairs, gambling debts, and violent threatening conversations. One recording changed everything permanently because Lauren admitted fearing Mason for several years. Then Trevor called breathlessly, warning federal agents suddenly disappeared before scheduled courthouse meetings. Trevor arrived bleeding heavily after unknown vehicles chased him across downtown Seattle streets. He carried stolen financial ledgers underneath soaked jackets stained with fresh blood everywhere. The documents exposed judges, attorneys, and politicians connected with Mason's laundering operations secretly. I finally understood completely because Mason purchased protection long before stealing everything permanently. Meanwhile, Chloe suffered terrifying nightmares nightly, screaming Ethan's name through sleepless darkness repeatedly. Doctors diagnosed worsening infections afterward, warning my cancer spread aggressively toward nearby organs already. I ignored treatment completely because stopping Mason mattered more than surviving painful surgeries anymore. Trevor arranged secret meetings afterward, involving independent journalists outside corrupted Seattle networks entirely. We planned releasing evidence publicly before Mason escaped overseas using hidden company accounts permanently. Hours before interviews started, federal agents suddenly raided Trevor's temporary apartment without warnings. Someone leaked our location again, proving Mason controlled investigations from inside government offices directly. Trevor escaped barely afterward, while agents confiscated evidence and destroyed encrypted backup drives completely. That evening, Mason hosted extravagant charity galas benefiting cancer patients throughout Washington communities publicly. Watching television coverage made me physically sick because grieving families praised Mason enthusiastically everywhere. Lauren suddenly contacted Chloe privately, begging desperate meetings beside abandoned waterfront warehouses tonight immediately. Despite overwhelming fear, Chloe insisted attending because Lauren sounded genuinely terrified and broken. I followed secretly afterward, carrying Ethan's accident footage hidden beneath winter coats carefully. Inside freezing warehouses, Lauren appeared bruised badly beside overturned chairs and broken tables. Then Mason emerged smiling coldly, while armed men locked every warehouse exit behind us. Warehouse lights flickered violently, while rainwater leaked through rusted ceiling beams constantly overhead. Mason poured expensive whiskey calmly, despite Chloe trembling beside shattered wooden shipping crates nearby. Lauren begged Mason desperately afterward, promising silence regarding Ethan's murder and stolen millions forever. Mason laughed quietly instead, while armed guards blocked every possible warehouse escape route completely. He admitted destroying Ethan deliberately because exposure threatened his luxurious public lifestyle permanently afterward. Hearing those words shattered Chloe completely, while Lauren collapsed crying onto dirty concrete floors. Mason blamed me afterward, claiming lifelong neglect created his ruthless survival instincts entirely instead. He described childhood loneliness bitterly, while accusing me of loving business above family always. Part of his anger sounded truthful painfully, which made everything emotionally unbearable afterward tonight. But Mason crossed unforgivable lines completely, after kidnapping Chloe and manipulating Lauren through terror. Trevor secretly transmitted recordings live afterward, using hidden devices underneath damaged warehouse generators carefully. Outside meanwhile, journalists and federal investigators finally surrounding waterfront industrial buildings. Silently. Mason realized betrayal instantly, before violently attacking Trevor beside collapsing metal storage shelves suddenly. Gunshots exploded loudly afterward, while Chloe screamed through smoke and shattered warehouse glass everywhere. Lauren jumped desperately between Mason and Trevor before another terrifying gunshot echoed violently. Blood spread across Lauren's coat immediately, while Mason stared frozen beside smoking pistols silently. Police stormed inside afterward, forcing guards violently onto freezing oil-stained warehouse floors immediately. Mason tried escaping secretly through loading docks, but detectives tackled him outside successfully afterward. Lauren grabbed my shaking hands weakly afterward, before revealing another devastating truth through tears. Then she confessed Chloe was never biologically mine before collapsing beside flashing police lights. Ambulance sirens echoed endlessly, while Lauren bled heavily across freezing warehouse concrete floors silently. Chloe froze beside me completely, after hearing Lauren's devastating confession moments before collapsing afterward. Lauren admitted secretly loving Ethan years earlier, during lonely months inside failing marriages painfully. After Ethan died suddenly, Lauren buried everything because guilt consumed her every single day. Chloe cried uncontrollably afterward, begging Lauren desperately not to die beside flashing ambulances outside. Meanwhile, Mason sat handcuffed nearby, staring silently toward police vehicles and television reporters everywhere. For several horrifying minutes, nobody spoke because truth destroyed every remaining emotional connection permanently. Lauren finally revealed another unbearable secret regarding Ethan's suspicious fatal highway accident previously tonight. Ethan planned confessing Chloe's biological truth publicly before confronting Mason about stolen construction funds. Mason panicked afterward, forcing Ethan's vehicle deliberately across dangerous, rain-soaked highway barriers violently. Hearing Ethan's murder confession destroyed something permanently inside my exhausted, cancer-weakened body afterward. I spent years protecting Mason proudly, while unknowingly raising Ethan's killer beside my family. Lauren died quietly afterward, while paramedics pushed desperately through crowded waterfront police barricades outside. Chloe collapsed against me afterward, because losing Lauren erased remaining emotional stability completely tonight. Weeks later, federal court sentenced Mason publicly beside overwhelming nationwide media attention afterward finally. Trevor recovered slowly afterward, while journalists exposed massive healthcare corruption across several states publicly. Doctors informed me quietly that cancer treatments failed completely, leaving limited remaining months afterward. I sold remaining properties later, transferring everything legally into Chloe's devastated, trembling hands silently. Before prison transport departed finally, Mason looked toward me through courthouse glass barriers silently. Then my son started crying uncontrollably, after realizing revenge destroyed him completely forever.